edition of Diaspora Central. I am Gil Ingles, and with me today in the studio, directly from Houston, Texas, it is Sarah Faye. Yes, an up-and-coming musician with a skill that today we are about to check out exactly how she is. Sarah, welcome to Diaspora Central.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Don't look so tense. Yeah. We can relax now. The cameras are rolling. So how are you?
I'm pretty good. Feeling good this morning.
Indeed. Music, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Has always been music?
Pretty much from the start. Yeah. I have a family of musicians. So.
Right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and try to establish your heritage and let's kind of start there. So, and by doing that, it's just not necessarily for you, but also for the ones before you. So if you're first generation, second or third, it doesn't matter. Just let's kind of go and establish to kind of pinpoint where originally the family is from, right? Because after all, this is the United States of America, the melting pot of every heritage in the world, right? That's the reason for the name Diaspora Central, because I honestly believe that the central or the center, I should say, of the diaspora is the United States of America. And Houston being one of the most diversified cities, it just dawned on me, and I was like, you know what? I should come up with a program, Diaspora Central, and kind of talk to people and about their heritages and what they do, and kind of showcase some of the diaspora culture and talent that populates this country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I see the name is Sarah Faye. Yeah. Let's kind of go a little bit back to the heritage. Mom, dad, and is that the maiden name, the married name?
Yeah, Sarah Faye is actually my first name. So, my heritage is Filipino, so I'm from the Philippines.
Gotcha.
It's very common in the Philippines, and I think even any culture that's influenced by Spain is we have a lot of names. So we have a lot of, it's very common to have a first and second name.
Indeed.
And then your middle name is your mom's maiden name, and then you have the last name.
Right.
So Sarah Faye is my first and second.
So Sarah Faye is the first. Okay, so the Portuguese do the same thing.
Yeah.
The Portuguese, for instance, they would do, let's say, I'll give my mother as an example. Her first name is Maria. Her second name is Flora, right? So she goes by Maria Flora.
Right.
And everybody knows her by Flora, because, just about everybody is Maria.
Yeah.
So I think it's also part of the Christian and the Catholic influence into those cultures. Yeah. So Filipino, so Manga Dagumaga would be a language that you understand.
Magandang umaga.
Yeah. I know a little bit.
Okay, that's awesome.
No, I'm lying. I just know that word.
Okay. That's all you need.
Yeah. Okay. So from the Philippines, who was first in the U.S.? Was it mom? Are you first generation?
Yeah. All four of us. I came here when I was 3. So my parents, both my parents, me and my brother, we migrated here 1999.
Oh, wow.
I was 3 years old, and we immigrated to San Diego, California.
Okay.
So that's where I spent all of my childhood up to like high school. So.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember anything? Have you gone back to the Philippines since?
Yes.
Okay.
So with that, I did move back to the Philippines right after high school. Literally, I graduated high school, and then 5 days later, my parents moved back to the Philippines.
Okay.
Because my dad is actually, he is a pastor, so he does ministry, and he was moved back to the Philippines.
Gotcha.
that's the life of like missionary kids and stuff like
ministry,
that.
Indeed. Yeah.
So
PKs, that's what I call them.
PKs, or MKs.
Right.
So we moved, or I was kind of forced to move back to the Philippines right after high school, and I lived there for 6 years, and I moved back here to America last year. So I've only been in Houston for about a year now.
Yeah. So how was that adaptation when you when you went back, as a matter of fact, did you remember anything from when you were very little, when you left? Did you have any memories of what home was like?
Yeah, we would visit the Philippines every like 3 or 4 years growing up.
Okay.
So I did know, like, I was able to be familiar with the culture and all that, the differences with America and the Philippines. But it was definitely different living there, because growing up, it's like, yeah, I'm from the Philippines. The Philippines is great, you know, good food. Everyone is so nice. And then you move there and you're actually immersed in the culture. And it's like, it's so different because people, you know, a lot of people don't know if they meet you at first, since I look Filipino, I can speak the dialect there. So they don't think that you grew up in America. So there's certain things that you can't understand and people expect you to understand, you know, culture-wise.
Got you.
Of just how people, even like not with just language, but just unspoken, how the way people do things or stuff like that. Or they expect you to know how to do a certain thing that everyone there who grew up there knows, you know.
Right.
So it was definitely a different experience actually living there.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, question. I should say questions. What is the father's name? What is the mother's name? And what is the name of the mission that your father serves?
Yeah. My father's name is Roland Don Dulaka. So he's actually under the Christian and Missionary Alliance.
Okay.
Which was a U.S. founded organization, but they started their own in the Philippines, which is, they call it Kamakop, Christian and Missionary Alliance, Churches of the Philippines.
Okay.
So that's where he serves. He's actually the head of missions there. So he organizes all the missionaries and goes to different countries and visits, you know, the ministries that they have there. Yeah. And my mother, her name is Wilhelmina. Also, they met actually in Bible school. So they're all both, you know, like partners in doing the ministry together.
Got you. So a very Christian based family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. And how was that for you culturally in the U.S. Right? I mean, one, you are a Filipino. Two, you really an American because you're 3 years old when you get here. So the culture that you're really being raised on is the American culture. But yet at home, everything it's ran as if it was the Philippines, I take it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, to just connect the two kind of experiences of living there and here, growing up here and not understanding how it was like in the Philippines, there was a lot of things that my parents would do, like I would want to do what my friends were doing, but my parents wouldn't let me, and they would try to explain reasons, but I would never understand until I actually moved there. And it's like, even people who were my age had the same opinions that my parents had growing up. It's like, oh, that's why my mom wouldn't let me do this or that, because everyone else in the Philippines thinks, you know, like this, you know. But yeah, growing up in America with a Filipino household, there was a lot of things that I would get frustrated about because, you know, I wanted to do what my friends were doing and stuff like that. And it was different. You know, I felt really like misunderstood a lot of times, like even in my peer groups and stuff like that. And even coming from like a Christian household, you know, my friends who were not in that upbringing too, I would like bring things up, or if they knew that my dad was a pastor, they'd have certain expectations of me, like, oh, why are you
the behavior,
like, why are you singing that song on the radio? you know that song's about, you know, this and that, like your dad's a pastor. I'm like, so you guys are allowed to sing it too because your parents are not pastors, you know? So
so, and singing, that influence, where does it come from? Is it family based? Is it teacher, school, community, family member?
Definitely a lot of different influences. My mom is a musician, so I think that was my number one, like kind of forced into it at a young age. Like at 6 years old, I was forced to play piano. I did my first solo at church when I was like 4 years old.
Oh wow.
So it was really at a young age I was already like kind of pushed into being like doing music. Well,
they were just trying to get you to get that discipline, right?
Right, definitely, yeah. And I think community too, like school and high school, I joined like show choir and stuff like that, and just being friends with other musicians influenced me, you know.
Yeah, so mom is a musician. Does mom also play the piano?
Yeah, she plays piano and she sings.
Okay, and you also do both?
Yeah, piano, singing, guitar.
Yeah.
Played clarinet in band in high school. So.
Hey, there you go. So let's go ahead and take our first break and kind of go into some content of yours so that we can actually show our viewers what we are talking about. And this is Diaspora Central. If you have just tuned in, and my guest today is Sarah Faye, a multi-instrumentalist musician who's here to showcase her talent. We'll be right back.
In my mind begins to think of all the things I can't be. 'Cause darling, I'm obsessed with lying to myself and chasing after sunsets with no retreat. Someday you'll get tired of bluffing. We all got something that's better off concealed. 'Cause the filters are fading. Sip your tone, black and white. Why can't we decide how to show our prettiest side? No, I won't mind this obsessive pride. The world will turn and it won't change for you. 'Cause darling, I'm obsessed with lying to myself and chasing after sunsets with no retreat. Someday you'll get tired of bluffing. We all got something that's better off concealed. 'Cause the filters can't mend you. Can we stop playing pretend? 'Cause in the end, I wanna know what's
And we are back. If you have just tuned in, you are now joined to Diaspora Central. And my guest today is Sarah Faye, a multi-instrumentalist musician who plays the piano, plays the guitar, and she sings. Sarah Faye. Diaspora, stand up, because Philippines today is in the building. Yeah. Music. Church, your first experience. Now, from an African and an African American perspective, normally church is always, it tends always to be also the first experience for some of the great musicians.
Right.
Yeah. How important do you think that was for you?
That played a big factor for
Yeah.
me because, like I said, I was pushed into like performing at church or playing, and the church that my parents pastored growing up was very small. It was a Filipino church, so it was all like immigrants from the Philippines. So they were like much in need of people who could play on the worship team, on the praise team. So I think I was only like 12 or 13 when I started like playing guitar and singing for the worship team, because we were really like in need of people who could do that. Yeah. So I think that really influenced like my need, or my like really want or desire to get better at playing guitar or singing, because you know it was needed. So
now, were you around that time also doing it in both English and any of the Filipino languages or dialects?
No,
it was primarily English.
English, yeah. Our church was all pretty much 99% Filipinos, but our service and everything was done in English.
Everything in English, okay.
Yeah.
So now the influence of language, where did you pick up the dialects from the Philippines?
Yeah, it was actually, I don't know if it was just a gift or a miracle, but when I moved back to the Philippines when I was 17, I was just like, well, my first experience was when people would know, like try to talk to me and they're like, oh, she speaks English. There's a term that they use in the Philippines, like, oh, nosebleed. That's what they say when people can't speak the dialect.
Okay.
Nosebleed? Nosebleed because...
Nosebleed. Oh, nosebleed.
Nosebleed, because they think too hard about saying or about speaking English that they get nosebleed. So that's always the term. And I get so annoyed with that because they'd be like, oh, she's from America, nosebleed. And I'm like, I can understand what you guys are saying. I'm not good at speaking it because my parents, I always heard it growing up, but I didn't really speak the dialect. Yeah. So I just started to like try to speak it. And within like a few months, I was speaking fluent. Like I just... It kind of just unlocked in my brain, like, oh, I didn't even realize. I'm like, oh, I can like form real sentences in my dialect.
Yeah, you had enough vocabulary, I guess.
Yeah, because I could understand it pretty much 100%. I just had to unlock like my speaking ability. Yeah. So
the confidence. Sometimes it's just the confidence.
Yeah, right? I think that was it as well.
And the need also, the necessity, you should say.
Yeah, because I think it was more out of like annoyance and frustration of people like not wanting to be friends with me or not wanting to talk to me because I spoke English. Gotcha. So but yeah, growing up, since I didn't grow up around family because since all of our family was still in the Philippines when we migrated, my family was basically the church.
Gotcha.
So that's what I would hear all the time. Like every week I would hear the dialect, either Tagalog or Bisaya, which I speak primarily Bisaya, which is the dialect in Mindanao where I'm from. Okay. So, and I didn't realize until I moved back and I learned Bisaya that most of our members in that church were like Bisaya speaking. I'm like,
oh wow.
Yeah. So
interesting, huh?
Yeah.
You were right in the middle of your tribe.
Yeah, right. That's why it made sense when I moved back. I was like, no wonder I can understand it so well because that's all the people,
Right. Speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, at age 4, you do your first show. Okay, I want to get that. If you still remember, right?
Kind of, yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. How was that feeling of actually? And I'm not speaking from the perspective of the anxiety pre-performance, but the actual feeling as you are performing and post-performance. Yeah.
From when I was your
first performance.
I don't really remember exactly. Okay. I just remember that my mom was like, I think she was holding the mic. She was next to me. She was just, I think I only had that confidence because my mom was there. And and she really coached me with the words. It was a Christmas show. So the song was Happy Birthday, Jesus. So it was like a Christmas thing. I still remember the song and everything. Yeah. And I think before, I don't think I was ever... Because I think I had that security that, okay, my mom's going to be there. Gotcha. Or my mom is the one who's making me do this, you know. So,
And when was it that you picked up and initially you decided that, you know what, music is definitely what I'm going to do. It's where my heart is. And I have a passion for this. I got to pursue it somehow. At least 50% or 100% of my time.
Yeah.
At what point in your life did that decision happen?
Honestly, when I moved back to the Philippines, because in high school I was already like really involved with choir. I had like a little band with my brother, so I knew that I was into music, but it was kind of just like like, oh, I play music, but it's not really my main thing. Gotcha. But when I moved to the Philippines, like I said, I was kind of forced, so I was really frustrated. I didn't have any friends there. And it was just adjusting to the culture and all that. And the only thing that I had that still like made sense, still like made me feel, like connected or, sane was music. Because anywhere you go, even if it's in a different language, music is always, a common ground.
Universal.
So that's when I was like, I did go through a gap year when I moved to the Philippines from America. So I didn't go to college right away because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here anyway. So, and in that year, all I did was just practice piano, practice guitar, write songs. So that's when I realized I was like, if this is what music can do for me and make me feel like, I have purpose or I can give something to the world, then I want to share that with other people too. So that's why I did decide to major in music education.
Okay, so you ended up doing music and education in college. Yeah. And now, are you sharing just music as a musician? Do you also teach or give lessons?
Yes. That's my job right now. I give private music lessons. I work at Guitar Center.
Got you. All right.
So I have a lot of shout out to my students at Guitar Center.
That's my playground.
Yeah. And it's so awesome to work there because every day, you walk in and you're surrounded by music and just instruments and everything. And so I primarily teach, and honestly, like I haven't really had time to write a lot of songs lately because I've just been so busy with teaching and all that. So
but you feel the same fulfillment when you're teaching because you're still sharing.
Oh yeah,
that passion,
I love teaching. Yeah. Even if it's like I have to do the same lesson, because a lot of my students come in with like zero, like stone cold beginner, and I have to do that lesson so many times. Like okay, this is the guitar, this is the part of the guitar, this is the strings of the guitar, but it's just like. I mean, at this point, I haven't gotten tired of explaining, the joys of playing music,
It sort of becomes sort of natural, I think, at a certain point. Yeah. Now, is guitar your favorite instrument?
It's so hard to choose, but I'd say guitar is honestly for me very versatile because you can take it anywhere.
Got you.
Yeah, but piano was my first instrument, so I can't,
So you're more
that's my first love.
Now, you have a project currently out.
Yes, I do. I just released a single last September. Yeah.
All right. So what's the name of that single?
So the title is Days, and I actually wrote it with my friend Sam Atkins.
Okay.
So he's also an artist in the Philippines. He's signed with Warner.
Okay.
We were good friends in college, and we wrote it together kind of during the pandemic, and it's about kind of just like the longing of just having, like I'm sure we've all experienced in pandemic, it feels like we're kind of stuck in like time, time just stopped for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like days are just passing and you're just longing to move forward and have someone like I mean, not even like romantically, but like having just someone to make you feel like, the days are
to have that,
there's hope in the days,
that moral support, that connection, right? That social and emotional connection to someone. Yeah. Okay. And how is it tracking?
I'm still trying to get up to 1,000 streams on Spotify. But it got really good response from most of my friends, and my friends would share it to their friends, and people who I'd never even met before would like share it on their Instagram story, and I'm like, oh wow, so
No, that's pretty good. Now, do you already have visuals for that single?
I just have album art. I don't really.
You haven't done any visuals for it
no,
yet?
no music video. But a lot of people were saying this song needs a music video.
There you go. And where can people listen to that one?
It's on all streaming platforms, so Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
Yeah. And you have a heavy collaboration there also. Someone who's actually signed to Warner. But he didn't want any credits for the song. I just say it's say it on my social media, but he was like, it's all you, because there's just like legal rights and stuff since he's signed. Yes, because they would have to clear and he said it would take longer to release if he needed to go through the process. So he was like, just it's a lot of back and forth paperwork, and sometimes it's like they foresee things that a lot of times independent artists don't oversee, right? Because let's just say 2 years from now, as soon as that song hits platinum, then they're gonna tap on you. They're gonna say, wait a second, so he's really a friend. If you did that, yes. Definitely. He's really a friend for doing that for you. Yeah. One of the things that actually a lot of people do is they have these decoy names that they primarily use, right? And right, so that people around them know who it is, but the rest of the world doesn't really know that this person and that person are the same. Right? So they use the decoy when they do anything independently, and then they use whatever
their stage
official name, right? Yeah. But let's take another break and take a listen and a look at your single. All right. So what's the name of the single again?
Days.
All right. So let's check out Days right here on Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles and my guest today, Sarah Faye.
I'm running out of days. Maybe I'm just would break. Well, I'm hoping that you'll stay, even just for another day.
And we are back. If you have just joined us, you are now tuned into Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles and my guest today, Sarah Faye. And you have just finished checking out Days. Sarah,
Hello.
nice song.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna push this one forward. We're gonna help you push that one forward.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
see if we can get some more traction, because we're gonna in today's world, right, going platinum not necessarily needs to be within the year in which the song is released anymore. It's just a goal, because it can be 10 years from now. What you could make in 1 year, you'll be making in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
That's what technology today has allowed us to do, especially independent musicians. So that rush of trying to go platinum as fast as you can is really more for recognition than it is really for financial gain, because, well, I guess $1 million today is not $1 million tomorrow, but it's still $1 million, right? Or 1 million sales, assuming that it will be 99 cents they sell. Making a living as a musician, okay, from your perspective, how difficult is it, and especially when you're trying to put together projects, right, such as Days. I know that financially it's probably expensive. So take us through the process, and this is from a perspective in which, let's say, you attempting to explain to our audience as your new students now, what it takes to put together a project that actually produces a body of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, in my experience, primarily is you need to have connections because in all the work that I've done previously as a solo artist, and also I have a duo, which I haven't mentioned yet, but I have a duo with my best friend Kathy, who's also mixed culture, third culture kid.
Okay.
She's a German Filipino who just moved to Germany, so she's in the diaspora over there.
Got
So, but what was I saying?
You're talking about the connections for projects.
So even with that project, it was all like our friends.
Got
so
you.
we didn't really spend that much with our we released an EP in 2020, and it was all just friends who knew how to produce, knew how to record. And with this one, with Days, who's actually a friend as well, who I just sent, the guitar riff to, and he was like, okay. And then he made a beat on it, and I was like, I think I want to release this. I did give him, money to, because, just.
So he was work for hire.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, he was like, you don't have,
still helping. I mean, we call those the friendly rates. That right. I mean, if it is someone who's signed to a major record label, you ask a specific price, which is required by right. But if you're doing for your friends, Africans call it gas money, right?
Gas money, yeah.
That's gas money.
Yeah. So, but I am actually working on a project right now with a producer from Davao City, where I'm from in the Philippines. And I mean, we knew each other through mutual friends, but we're not like super like close like I am with, the friend who did Days. Yeah. So we did discuss, a price. And I'm like, okay, so I'm at the point where I want to spend money to have my song produced. Yeah. And I was like, I think it'll be worth it. So we discussed, a price with the whole arranging and producing. Yeah. So that's how I just went about trying to do this new project that's hopefully gonna release in the next 2 months, I hope.
There you go.
but
can you give us the name of the project yet?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this new project because it's the first song I wrote in Bisaya, which is in the dialect the Philippines. And it's called UNTA, UNTA, which translates to like if only, like kind of like hoping for something else.
So if only Gil did something, right?
Yeah, it's more of like it's longing for like a lover or something like that, like if only. So UNTA. UNTA. Yeah.
Okay.
UNTA.
I learned
So
a
I
new
hope it
term.
can. I showed it to a lot of my friends here, like the raw version, who don't even understand
Yeah.
the dialect, and they were like, "Okay, I can't understand what you're saying, but I would listen to this." So I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'll just go for it." You know,
There you
just
go.
I want my dialect to be, recognized more internationally. So
Yeah. No, because and that's how it starts.
right.
That's how it starts because the music is honestly all about feeling. It's
Yeah.
about the ability to translate the feel or that specific moment to other people through music, right? Half of the time, the rest of the world sings American or English songs without
Right.
knowing what the person is saying, right? Sometimes even the words are not
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
the words become definitely a nosebleed if
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, but which is a good thing. So new project coming out, and that one you're doing it as a solo or
Yeah, solo Sarah Faye.
solo?
Yeah, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
build up my Spotify playlist.
yeah,
Yeah, so right now I only have 2 songs released as a solo artist.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but the good thing is that you have gone through that process of actually putting that project together, right? Releasing the first two songs or 2 singles and kind of getting a feel of how it is, and you
Right.
like the feel that you're getting. Yeah. Now, what gives you more joy, performing or teaching?
ooh, that is
Yeah.
a good question. Fulfillment wise, I think teaching, because you
Teaching.
really see the fruit of like every week seeing the same student, and then after like you look back after a few months,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, like my student has really improved, and and I can't take all the credit for that because that's
Gotcha.
also part of their like journey and
Right.
their own motivation, but to be a part of that and be able to guide them is just so fulfilling, but when I perform, I think it's more of just kind of like an ego booster, kind of like, okay, I'm actually, people actually like the music I create.
Right.
So I think what was the question, like fulfilling, or do I like which one I like?
which one you like better? Which one fulfills you the most? Which one
I'd say
makes you
teaching,
feel
honestly.
teaching?
Yeah.
Passing what you know to others, right?
Yeah, but I think the performing kind of helps give me the confidence to teach. So they kind of go hand in hand. Like, it's
Got you.
when I perform, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I think I'm good enough to teach this to
Kinda
someone else.
Yeah. Now, being that you right in the middle of techies at a place like Guitar Center, where you teach, you're surrounded by musicians and
Yes,
individuals that
amazing
understanding
musicians.
recording. A lot of these guys actually, they sometimes spend time on tour and they only work when they get back, right?
Right.
Are you picking up any of those vibes from them? Like you eventually gonna probably either go on tour or maybe start a recording studio.
Oh, wow. What a dream. Honestly, lately, I've just been so like immersed in my job that, sometimes I'll get like a passing thought like, oh, what if I just, make more music or kind of just go for my music 100%. But I'm like, gotta make money.
Right, yeah.
But just working with other musicians is so amazing. Like I go into work and like, sometimes while my coworkers are waiting for their students, like they'll just be jamming on the guitar and like shredding. I'm like, how am I working with these people? They're so good,
Right.
And it is honestly inspiring. A couple of my other coworkers have gone on tour in the past. Some of them actually do gigs every week, like around Houston and stuff like that. So it is encouraging, and it also pushes me like, oh, I'm working with these people who are so good, so I better get my game together too,
So it almost becomes like a cohort.
Yeah.
Where you guys kind of feel like, we're in this together.
Right.
We're starting together and we're going to finish
Yeah.
together, which is definitely a good thing. So let's go ahead and go through your shout outs, people that you would have to give your shout outs to.
Yeah, shout out to my niece Alex Barrios, who had me, connected me to this today.
Very important.
Very
person.
important.
Yes,
I got this opportunity because of
that's an industry connected Barrios right there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Of course, my parents and my brother who are here in Houston. All my family here in Houston. So my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins. Shout out to my boyfriend, David, and he's actually in LA right now. So it was actually his brother who produced Days. I got that connection.
So you also connected him.
Yeah,
you keeping it in the family.
Oh yeah. So he's a family of musicians as well. So shout out to my friends in the Philippines, my other musician friends, my best friend Kathy, the one I mentioned, who's in Germany. She'll definitely be listening to this, hopefully. So
definitely hope, and we wish you well with this project. And,
thank you so much for having me today.
The other projects coming out. Is there anything else that you would like to say to either your audience or to anyone? Now is your opportunity.
Well, check out my music. I have
your social media.
I have my Instagram. It's sarahfaye.d. And then on Spotify, I'm just Sarah Faye. So I have 2 songs on there. The first one that I released was Filters. And there's also a music video for that. That's my first music video.
So there's a music video.
Yes,
for
Filters. I'm trying to get that one to 1K as well. I released that last June, I believe. So it was kind of late. The song came out in 2019 and the music video is just this year. And then Days, which is also on Spotify. Music video hopefully will come soon. And then also check out my duo, Sarcathm. It's SARKATHM. We have an EP that we released last year. So that's on all streaming platforms as well.
Now let's talk a little bit about the video. How was the experience doing the music video?
Oh, that was amazing. It was so cool. And I actually filmed it before I moved back to America because it was, like I said, it was in the planning since early 2020. But because of the pandemic, it was held off. So when I told the people who are going to do the music video.
You can mention their name.
Oh, yeah, Sinadashri. They're with director Mike Zafra. They're awesome, good friends from Davao. And when I told them that I'm going to America again, they're like, oh, we better film your music video before you leave. So they filmed all of my parts before I left. And then they filmed the rest while I was already here. And when they showed me the final product, I was like, wow, it's so good. They even got actors to be in it and all that. And I think they captured the story and my thought behind the song so well through the video. So it was amazing. And I felt so official kind of being in that music, and the way it was edited, even my friends were like, wow, this is legit,
so you looked at your own video and you almost felt like, okay, wait, who is this, right?
Yeah, for sure. I had that feeling. I'm like, is that me?
That means that you did the thing, Dan. You did the thing. When you get that feeling, you definitely did the thing, and that means that you worked with a real good team also.
Oh, they were so good. Shout out to them. Check out their videos. They do all kinds of video productions. So.
And they Filipino based.
Philippines based, but Mike Zafra, he's actually from LA. So he went to the Philippines to start that film studio. So.
Got you, that company.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an American company, but based in the Philippines. Which is a good thing. You know what? Actually, let me extend this conversation. Let's take another quick break, and I want to come back. Okay, we're gonna take a look at some more of your content, maybe a quick video of you giving quick tips on how to play any specific instrument will be fine. Let's take just a quick break, and I want to come back because I honestly want to touch on the Philippines and talk about the Philippines now from a perspective of you being an ambassador from the Philippines. Is that okay?
All right, awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so let's take that quick break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Faye, and I'm going to show you today how to play a simple chord on the acoustic guitar. Before we get started, I want to explain the different parts of the guitar. The basic parts of the guitar are the head, neck, and the body. This long part here, this is the neck, and this is where all the frets are located. Each fret is one of these lines, and the frets are referred to as the first fret, second fret, third fret, and so on. This is how we identify the notes that we play on the guitar. So the next thing we need to know before we play anything on the guitar are the string names. There are 6 strings on the guitar, starting from the one closest to your face. This is the lowest string, and then the bottom one is the highest string. The top string is E, and the bottom string is also E. The easiest way to remember the order of the strings is simple sentence: Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. This is the order of the strings: E, A, D, G, B, E. Now to play a G chord, a simple G chord, all we do is we take our first index finger, we can place it on the high E string right here, and this is on the 3rd fret. And we will only strum the bottom 4 strings. This is the G chord, the E string on the 3rd fret. That's how you play the G chord on acoustic guitar. Thanks for joining me. I hope you learned something.
And we are back. If you have just joined us, you're now tuned into Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and my guest today is Sarah Faye. Diaspora, stand up because Philippines is in the building. Sarah.
Hello again.
Raised in the U.S. Well, let me actually do it correctly. Born in the Philippines, raised in the U.S., and then back into the Philippines.
For 6 years.
Yeah. So the child has returned home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can say it that way.
With the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Philippines. For anyone that was to visit the Philippines, what would you recommend that they do as soon as they arrive?
As soon as they arrive, they need to try the food.
The food.
Yes, go to Mang Inasal. Go to it's a fast food place there. And
Mang Inasal.
Mang Inasal. You get only rice.
Yeah.
Unlimited rice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you can try that rice with several other dishes, or
it's mainly chicken. They call it
Chicken
chicken inasal. So it's like the way it's like grilled chicken.
got you.
Yeah.
Oh wow. See, you're making me hungry now. I'm very small, but I eat a lot. Yeah, I really do. I eat a lot, and I eat I eat all the time. That's yeah. So, what's the name? Mang
Inasal.
Mang Inasal.
Yeah.
Took note. Unlimited, all you can eat rice.
Yeah. So basically, there's just people walking around with buckets of rice.
Yeah.
If you want more, you just call them, and then they just.
Wow.
Yep. There'd be contests with my friends of who can have the most refills.
Got you.
I think the most of my friends went up to like 9.
Oh wow.
9 scoops of rice.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 But but you're saying that chicken is definitely what makes it.
that chicken is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, being that the Philippines is completely surrounded by water, it would have seemed like fish would have probably been the primary specialty for the region. Is that not the case?
There's a lot of fish, but
or seafood.
Seafood.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not as popular as like chicken and pork. Pork is
also
huge. Like most Filipino dishes are like pork or chicken.
Got you.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, that's a good point. I think fish should be more popular in our dishes, like traditional Filipino dishes, but it's actually not.
Wow.
I think fish is honestly for like people in the poverty level, fish is that's what they survive on because it's very cheap to eat fish in the Philippines.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay. So so for the popular, for the people, fish is the primary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one thing that, in your opinion, makes you an American in the Philippines. That people look at you and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, she's an American, right? Nosebleed."
yeah, she's nosebleed.
I probably shouldn't say. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
It just.
That's
funny.
a common term they always
Right.
use. Yeah.
Yeah. So something that would make you an American in the Philippines.
For me, I think, well, one, maybe the way I dress, maybe. I think a lot of times, like, I really have to, like, if I go out, I have to wear, like, shoes and really, like, wear, like, pants and stuff like that. A lot of, like, especially, like, in college, a lot of my friends were, like, would be, like, just in their, we call it chinelas, which is slippers.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and they would just wear chinelas to their to class, or
Right.
and then I would actually be wearing shoes and stuff like that. I think that's one.
So you when you go out, you fully dressed. You like
Most of the time, if I know I'm
Yeah.
gonna see people,
There you
like I'll
go.
put on makeup and all that. A lot of my
Right.
friends, like, I don't know how many times when there was like a performance in college that I would have to do like all my friends' makeup, because
Right.
they'd be like, "We don't know how to do our makeup." Like, you actually know, because growing up in America,
Yeah.
very normal for teenage girls to like mess around with makeup, but
Right.
there it's like, if you wear makeup, it's like, I mean, can you even afford makeup?
Right, yeah,
Yeah. So.
Yeah, which is another thing that I kind of want to also touch in, like the economic prosperity of the country,
yeah.
let's say, of the people, possibilities to prosper, things that maybe the diaspora can actually do to help the Philippines prosper. What would some of those things be?
Yeah, from an economic perspective.
Yeah, from an economic perspective.
Helping, honestly. I mean, I don't want to get too political, but just
from a perspective, from a community perspective.
Yeah,
right?
community.
Yeah, from a community perspective. Let's say maybe more community-based businesses from here should probably go there, and what kind of businesses maybe, or I don't know. I mean, it could be anything. Maybe more concerts, more shows.
Definitely.
More
Yeah, a lot of
exposure to the country. I mean, you guys at Pacquiao, right?
Oh yeah,
Which
Pacquiao
is one of the greatest ambassadors, in my opinion, for the Philippines. I mean, this guy definitely made us see the Philippines in a different perspective.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think supporting small business is a big one. I know a lot of friends who open up small businesses in the Philippines. It is tough supporting it internationally, because a lot of times they don't ship internationally from the Philippines.
Yeah.
But I mean, in any way, like supporting small businesses, because there's a lot of small, businesses in the Philippines from like any kind of industry. There's like clothes, there's, like even like soaps and stuff like that, and all that. So supporting that is a big thing.
Right. They may not ship, but if one was to travel for tourism, right? I'm sure that they have great touristic sites also.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, if any?
I'm kind of biased to Dumaguete, which is where
Okay.
I went to college. There's so many beautiful. We called my school Silliman University. They call it Campus by the Sea.
Okay.
Because literally you walk out of your classroom and you can just see the water, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you just travel maybe like 30 minutes away from the sea, and you're in the mountains.
Oh, wow.
And there's Mount Talinis, which is the famous mountain in that area.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends have climbed to the top. I have yet to,
Yeah.
because it's a really, really tall mountain. So, but it's so beautiful there, and I think it's very underrated. But we do have a lot of tourists. Like it's not uncommon to just see like a lot of backpackers from any, like, Europeans, Americans, just going through Dumaguete, because it's popular for even divers. We have Apo Island, which is popular for deep sea diving.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, something that I don't know if you would know the answer for it, but I'm gonna ask, and if you don't know, it's okay.
Okay.
But at least we ask. If, let's say, someone who's not Philippine wanted to move to the Philippines, is there currently a process that would allow them to do so? If someone who's not Philippine wanted to open a business in the Philippines, what would that process be? Do you know, or is there something that you can say to help direct anyone in that position?
living in the Philippines.
Yeah, no, someone living in America. I'm sorry, someone living in America,
and moving to the Philippines.
Right, moving to the Philippines.
It's very common, especially like in Dumaguete. I have to say though, a lot of people do it through like marrying.
Oh, you have so you have to marry.
Yeah, because if you do want to open a business, I believe this is what I heard.
Right,
you have to be a Filipino citizen.
Gotcha.
Or be married to one. So a lot of businesses in the Philippines who are they're owned by like foreigners, you'll see that they're also married to a Filipina.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's very common, sadly. So you see a lot of that. So
yeah, and I think that it is good for the country also because
true,
because it keeps the economic prosperity of the business in the country, right? Because if you have a country where every single business is owned by a foreign entity, eventually, whenever they decide to pick up and leave, they just pack up everything and leave and leave the people in despair. So, which is definitely a good thing. So, anything that you think that we should know about the Philippines that the mainstream media does not let the rest of the world know? Anything good?
Good?
Yeah, good. We only
do good stuff.
We only do good stuff.
I think, Philippines is known for just beautiful beaches and all that, but I think what mainstream media doesn't show is just, it is a common already, but the people is definitely a big thing. Like, that's one thing I really miss about the Philippines is just the warmth of people and how hospitable the people there are. Another thing is local music.
Okay.
As a musician, I think I have to speak for that as well. I think mainstream media doesn't really highlight a lot of the really different artists because Philippines is mostly known for OPM, which is stands for Original Pinoy Music.
Okay.
And OPM, there's an original OPM sound, like very I don't really know how to describe it, like very chill, like laid back kind of rock vibes.
Gotcha.
But there's so many emerging artists, young artists that don't really get recognized internationally.
Gotcha.
Even my friends who were like born and raised in America, Filipino Americans, and they're like, oh yeah, I listen to Filipino music, and they still only know like the classic, like Filipino music, and I'm like, oh, you should listen to like Ben and Ben or like Four of Spades, and they're like, oh, I've never heard of them. I'm like, yeah, because they're new, and they listen to it, they're like, wow, this is very like different from usual Filipino music. So I think those newer artists should really be recognized.
Definitely. Now, from a traditional perspective, what is the the primary art form of the Philippines?
Traditionally, this was one of my subjects in college, Filipino music. We had to study like the different tribes, different kinds of music. We have I forget what it's called, but like they're pretty much like nursery rhymes of the Philippines. We have like Bahay Kubo Kahit Munti, and then we have what we call kundimans, which are like traditionally they're always in triple meter, which is like 3/4 time or 6/8, and they're like in a minor key, and they're always talking about like longing or like longing for love and stuff like that.
So soul music.
Oh,
that's that's soul music.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like soul music in America or country music, right?
Oh yeah, like country music. Yeah. And we have the Rondalia ensemble, which is very heavily influenced by Spanish because we were colonized for like 300 years. So you can hear the Spanish influence in our traditional music, especially like Rondalia ensemble and the Kundiman, because you can hear like the kind of tunes that they use. It sounds almost like a mariachi band,
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, which actually now raises one more question. What is the most popular language in the Philippines? Let's say if you were to land there, most likely most people would speak
Tagalog. Or one thing that is really the common misconception is that Tagalog is the same thing as Filipino.
Okay.
we actually do have a language that's Filipino because we have a subject, we have the English subject and we also have Filipino subject if you go to school in the Philippines.
Gotcha.
And it's not called Tagalog, it's called Filipino.
Yeah.
So Filipino is just heavily influenced by the Tagalog dialect,
Gotcha.
but it's not exactly the same.
Okay, so is Filipino a hybrid Creole?
I think I would say,
with a lot of
I think they just
probably
needed
European influence, you think?
No, I don't
terms
think
similar,
so.
No?
Spanish influence. We have a lot of words that are the same in Spanish.
Spanish influence.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they just formulated the Filipino dialect because in schools, which is, I think it's an ongoing problem because even for me going to school there,
Yeah.
and going to school for education, so I had to learn how to the school system works. Is the dialects are so hard when you go to school because the kids who are first grade are taking 3 different subjects. They take the English, they take Filipino, and then they take their local dialect.
Gotcha.
So it's so confusing.
Yeah.
So I think they made the Filipino subject because they needed one common ground for
Gotcha.
all.
A
It was
universal-
more academic for the sake of academic purposes to make Filipino because they were like, oh, we need our official language and we can't make it Tagalog because Tagalog is a tribe or it's a
specific
part.
tribe. Yeah.
So they were like, okay, let's make Filipino, which is basically Tagalog with little differences. So
But the 2 biggest tribes would be Tagalog and
Bisaya are the most spoken languages.
There you go. Which is quite good. I'll just start treating Filipino like a Creole. See, we from the Lusophones, for instance, Portuguese-speaking people, we have Lusophone Creole, right? From places like Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau. The French also have French Creole, like places like Haiti, Saint Martin, right? So Filipino may be
something like
going
that.
right into that. Yeah,
a
like
good
Haitians.
common ground. Yeah.
Right. It's probably the same thing because it's Haiti has a heavy French influence, so their local dialect mixed with French is the language that they speak. Patois in Jamaica, right? Their local dialect mixed with English made Patois, and Creole Portuguese for Cape Verde is Portuguese mixed with local dialects from the islands, and that becomes the Creole that they speak also, and became the official language for their countries. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely cool. But listen, it's been a pleasure having you here, and hopefully you come back.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
Yeah, especially after you release the new project that you're working on, right? Yeah, because not only we want to hear, we want to help you push that thing forth. Because
thank you, I really appreciate that.
Definitely, yeah. Let's try to push it and see if we can get ourselves a Grammy here.
Oh, right. That's the dream.
Indeed. And this starts with project number 1, so don't forget to register yourself for the Grammys.
Okay.
Yeah, don't. Trust you and me, register yourself for the Grammys. Even for your first project, register yourself for the Grammys. You never know.
Wow.
Right? Because it'll be your peers. It'll be your peers voting for you. So, and never underestimate the power of music. All right?
I totally agree.
Sarah Faye, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for
so
being
much,
here at Diaspora Central. Hopefully you'll be back soon, right?
Yes.
All right. So for those of y'all that joined us, thank you for taking your time and definitely taking a good look at what the Philippines has to offer. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm honestly now visualizing the Philippines as if I have been there.
Wow, I'm glad. I'm glad I could do that for you.
Especially when you describe the campus, I now feel like I've been to your campus.
Oh, definitely. If you go to the Philippines, visit Dumaguete.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Dumaguete will be my first stop when I go to the Philippines. And for all of you that joined us, thank you for being there. And until next time, you take care of yourselves and each other.